Hello, welcome to the Infinite Surface Builder version 4.0 guide. And the reason I'm doing a guide is because, as you can see to the left here, it's changed a fair bit. I've managed to get all of it into these two groups. The other builders are all in one group in the main control deck, but the Surface Builder is probably the most complicated of all of them, which is why I couldn't see another way of doing it other than having two groups. And in here there's a bit more as well. Excuse me. Just because in Blender 3 you can't hide the wires anymore, so they're always visible, so I had to find a way to make it look a fair bit cleaner. So that's why we've got this enormous group, this group, and these bits, and it's going to be a couple of parts, maybe even three, as a guide, because there's, as you know, if you own it already, there's quite a lot to get through. But if you already own the Surface Builder, it's just all in one group now. Alright, everything else is pretty much the same. It's just all in one group. Okay, cool. So, shall we? Crazy itch under my left leg. Let's get into it. So, in the main window here, we've got, this is using the Infinite Surface Builder, and this one is a baked version of this. So this is physical geometry, as you can see, which can be manipulated further, da-de-da. And then I'll show you how we do that when we get there, which will be in the baking section, which will probably be in the last part. Stop pressing that. And I'll say, but to get into the groups, by the way, you don't need to go into this one. But, excuse me, this one, once you've clicked the group, press tab and you go into it. Press Control tab to get back out. So if you press tab and you go in, you press tab again, it's probably picking some other group somewhere. You don't need to see that. So just press Control tab to get out. Okay, so it's defaulted at bricks. I'm going to hide these for now. I've hidden the sun. I didn't want to do that. Keep the sun. Just hide these. Alright, cheers, lovely. Jably. So let's click on this. Stop saying so. So it's deep. Stop saying so. So it's default to bricks, but because I've got Voronoi tiles mixed in, that's why they're there. Okay, so we'll start by talking about the bricks. So, this is self-explanatory. Brick colors. Brick color 1. If you've ever played with the brick node in Blender, it's using that. So you get how the bricks work. Some of them will be this color, some of them will be that color, and most of them a various mix of colours in between, but let's at least make it somewhat visible. The bias is to do with the colour, though I think I've got it connected to displacement, so if we put it at 1, it's going to favour one colour over another. It's not connected to displacement. Good job, Nick. So now it's favouring this colour. If I go -1, it's going to favour the darker colour, which is why about 0 is slap bang in the middle. You get a bit of both, and it looks nice, I think. Single multicolour mix. Yes, let's slide that. So this is for the mortar. Now it's using these two colours to have a separate colour for the mortar, because without that mixed in, anything that could be just the wall behind it is still coloured with the bricks, with these brick colours. But if you wanted to make it as though the bricks had completely gone, clearly using this one, the bricks have long since expired. And anything that says, let me do this quick, anything do color ramp, anything that says ramp excuse me, is saying it's a color ramp. So here you've got multiple color ramp. It's saying that multicolor 1 is position 1. This is position 1, which is green. So if we change the black to green, and I'll set this color ramp up in exactly the same way this has. So this is the other color. So if I, nope, I need to select that first. Now I need to put that color in there. And where it says position 1, it's referring to this pip, and position 2 is referring to that pip. So if I put 0.4 and 0.64 for position 1, which is this one, 0.64, and for So sorry, that's position 2. Even though it's called 1 and 0 on this, this is position 2, this one's position 1, according to this. And position 1 is at 0.4. So click position 1, 0.4. So that is how this colour ramp for the mortar colours, for these mortar colours, is set up. They're quite close together, so they're quite contrasty. But if I took this slider more to the right, we'd get more green. So I can do that by sliding position 2 to the right. You see, now it's more green. Okay, and you've got a filter for that as well. Scale's 1, so let's put 0.2. You'll see it's a noise. Is it a noise filter? It's a noise filter. Okay, so that's how that works, and that's how that works. And we'll get into how to create more holes in a bit. But for now, in fact, why don't we leave that up, Nick? Why don't we leave that up? Okay, and now importantly, the brick's shape. Click that. So strength, obvious. If I put it up to 1, they're going to be stronger. Let's leave it there. Scale, if I put it up to 10, that's going to be obvious. There you go, makes the brick smaller. Mortar size, I mean, you know all this. Just change the size of the mortar. We can make this guide less time if I don't procrastinate. So yeah, mortar size and edge smooth are kind of together. So if I put 0.09, just thicken that gap a bit, and I took the edge smooth off completely to 0. Let's go to 0.02 for the mortar. So now it's very definite edges. Do you know what I mean? So if I put 1 back in, it attempts to smooth them, but it's dependent on how big the mortar size is, of how much mortar smooth you see, like this. But I'm going to put that 0.05. Okay, brick width, obvious. Row height, that is obvious. Brick rotation, rotate the bricks if you want. Doink. Random arrangement, 200. Just swaps the bricks around in case you've got a couple of walls using the same settings. You can just do that. Extrusion height ramp. Okay, so if I bring position 2 to the left with the extrusion height ramp, it brings the bricks closer to the limit of its displacement. I'm adding more white, so I'm pushing these bricks out. If I add more black using position 1, so this is black and white, position 1 being black, position 2 being white, it's a height ramp, so it's a color ramp with black and white. If I add more black, you'll see more holes appear. You see? So I'm taking away the bricks by adding more black. And then, as you can see with the mortar, that's why we left this on 1, because now we can see that this is missing bricks. If that was off, you'd just still see the brick colours. You see? That's why we put that on when we're losing bricks. So that's the extrusion height ramp. I'm going to press Ctrl Z twice, maybe more, probably 3 or 4 times. That'll do it. So yeah, more black, position 1, more position 1 is more holes. More position 2, i.e. bringing in more white, so dragging it to the left, you get more bricks and they extrude further. Distorted bricks. This one, when you mix it in, it might look a bit, actually I've set that up to not be. This is something that does not bake. Annoyingly, distorting the bricks in this way doesn't bake. Even with various different ways I've tried, I cannot get this distortion to bake with the wall. You can do distortion another way, which I'll probably show you in the baking tutorial, because I'll show you how to distort the bricks with a displacement filter rather than using this. So just be aware that this does not bake. So, but just, you know, again, a bunch of sliders, slide them about, see what happens. And if you add too much to it and it all gets a bit funny, 0.8 and a bit, then just lower this amount and then you'll have that same effect but a bit less, and you've got horizontal and vertical distortion strength. But again, that doth not bake. I cannot bake this. Alright, so that's all the bricks done. How long's that taken? 10 minutes. Crikey, we should be quicker with these. Checker tiles. Mix that in with 1. and then we get checker tiles. And the reason this pattern is still here is because this is still mixed in, the single multicolour mortar. So you want that off when you're not using the bricks. And now we just have le tiles, okay? Checker tiles, overall scale, don't need to do it. Overall strength, don't need to do it. Colour 1 and colour 2, don't need to change them. Grout size, that's the gap. Grout smooth, same applies as the brick smooth. And tile rotation, it's currently at 45 degrees to give it this funky thing. Distortion, this is it. Both distortions are set to 0, so they're not doing anything. But if you up the scale to 1, it will start to mangle the edges. It put a bit of detail in, we might even see it a bit better. Well, let's put a bit of roughness, 0.8. Yeah, so it's yeah. And then just, yeah, play with those. The scale is off on both. You turn it on, it starts to take effect. That's checker tiles. Okay, so that didn't take 10 minutes. Okay, so, oh, there's that word again, Nick. Voronoi tiles. Might take a little bit longer. Let's have a look. Right, so let's mix that in. So these are the Voronoi tiles, and you've got the same old scale, strength, randomness as you would find in a Voronoi texture. Colour ramp, green is the first, so that's why it's green in the gaps, and the brown is the colour of the tiles. And position 1 and position 2, again, that's the colour ramp. So this green is at position 0, this brown is at position 0.6, so they're very close together. That's why this green is only in these cracks. Face horizontal orientation, again, this is something that won't bake, so you can just, you know, change the direction the displacement's going. So if I put -2, it kind of becomes like tiles, I guess. But this again doesn't bake. I don't know how to make the displacement modifier do this. It just doesn't. It doesn't bake. So use that at your own risk. It's not a risk, is it? I couldn't think of the bleeding word. Okay, rotation. Rotates, doesn't it? Okay. Now it's set to be distorted. If we turn the distortion right off, we'll have no distortion. If we turn it right on, we'll have loads of distortion. So this is, the distortion filters are here. They look like they're both noise filters. So scale, detail, roughness, distortion. And again, clearly at 100%, this is way too much mix. So once I've messed with that, and I think that might look cool, I'll start to drop the mix amount, and then it starts to do this. So you can control how much mixage is happening in there. That is also something I'm not convinced bakes. I can't remember. I'll try it. The shape ramp. So this is for the whole Voronoi tile. So if I put 1 here, this is position 1, position 2. So black, white. Right now, white is pulled right to the left. Right to the left. Position 2, the white has been dragged to the left, closer to black, which is why it's quite contrasty. If I put the white back to 1, there's no definition. So let's put 0.6. So I'm bringing the white slider back, and you can see it's starting to get a bit more contrasty. So it's trying to tighten these gaps. If I put this at 0.1, it'd be very tight indeed. You see? But 0.2, I like it at 0.2. Okay, what are we on? 14 minutes. Displacement effects. Crikey, there's still a bit, isn't there? Let's see. I'm going to carry on. 20 minutes is kind of what I think is probably too much. So displacement effects. What's going to be the best thing to do it with? Let me turn off all. Let's do it with the tiles. I'm going to turn off the distortion. I think I might already have displacement effects on. I do. So without the effects, the wall looks like this. Nothing. Just very clean, very clean. But I have cracks mixed in, random chunks mixed in. So let's just unmix these so we can see them individually. crack. Turn that off. FX. So if I turn this on, nothing's going to happen until I turn on the cracks, which do that. They're like these things. You've got a scale for them, a filter, and a shape. So again, these are very, very close together to give it that close crack feel. If I can make nothing happened. Do what I ask. So now I'm just, because I'm separating the white and the black, I'm effectively widening the crack. 0. Okay. Oh, there's a mask. I forgot about the mask. So the reason these cracks are kind of interspersed amongst the rocks is because of the shape of the mask. So at the moment this mask is scale 1.4. If I take this down to 0.2, then it's a noise filter. So if you imagine a noise filter, where there's no crack it's black, and where there is crack it's white. So this would be a white area in the filter, this would be a black area. So this mask is just, it means that it's not uniform crack all over the place. It is masked. And you can change, you can, at the moment, well, if I put this to 1, as in I'm opening the color ramp, it will probably spread the crack further. If I brought it right to 0.2, you can very, very definitely see it disappear. 0.4, 0.5. So yeah, it's a very definite end to where the crack is, and that's because the contrast now with that ramp is very close together. Okay, so again, change the scale, detail, roughness, distortion, it all affects how this is displayed. Bish bash bosh, job done. So let's turn off the cracks. 17 minutes. Okay. Now we'll go to random chunks. So just press 1, and it does that. Kind of warps the wall a bit, adds a bit of chunkage, and then you've got all its controls here, as usual. Another shape ramp. So that's black, that's white. You know all about that now. Alright, banging. And of course, as I say, all of these can be mixed with, once you've got some shape you think it's too much, just lower the mix of the for instance this depth distortion. So let me put that up to 1. It just warps the wall a bit, pushes bits in and out. We can put the scale up to 5, see what that does. So you can see it's just lumpy now. It's just right lumpy. You gotta go see the doctor, mate. That's right lumpy. And if it's too much, just lower the mix. 0.5. You see? Color ramp. No, that's a shape ramp. I'll change that to shape before you get it. Okay. 18 bump effects. Bump effects. We should do that. Then finish this. Okay. So bump effects, that you've got object or UV. We might as well use object. Oh no, actually let's use UV. We'll see which one I like. So this is the default. No, you know what? Nah, bruv. Nah, bruv. I'm going to start this in the next part because this actually takes a bit of discussion. Okay. Whew, that's part 1. It's complicated, you know. There's a lot going on, but it's very, very, very versatile. Okay, I'm going to see you in the next one. I've been Nick, you've been you. Until then, farewell.